Welcome to Google Tutorials. And today in tutorial number 2, we're going to look at fonts. Fonts. So, I'm sure you've all seen this guy before. What's his name? Go ahead. Anybody? Anyone? Fonzie. Hey! Oh yeah. Mic drop. Right there. Mic drop. Fonzie. Get it? Fonzie? All right. So today we're going to be looking at fonts. And one of the things that a lot of people say about Google Docs is that it doesn't really have an awful lot of fonts available for it. So for example, if I select Fonzie here and I want to make that into a different font, I've got a few things, but not a ton. Many of these are very utilitarian and there's kind of a nice variety, but there aren't a ton of new fonts. So the first thing I'm going to show you though is a little tool at fonts.google.com. This is awesome if you like fonts. Here we are at fonts.google.com, and you can see that we have all kinds of fonts. In fact, we have 818 font families, which is a ton of fonts. And you can even search here. You can even filter. So you can say, if you knew what font you wanted, you could search for it up there. Or you can say, you know what, I don't want serif fonts. I just want handwriting fonts. And you get to see all the handwriting fonts. So this is a really useful tool for finding all kinds of fonts and using them or preparing to use them for Google Docs. So that is fonts.google.com. But let's say you've got a font. Let's say you like this particular one. Oh, let's go with Spirax. I really like that font, so I want to add it. Well, no problem. If I go into my fonts, I don't have Spirax here, but at the very bottom, more fonts. I click on more fonts, and I can now type in Spirax, and there it is. Click on it. Click OK. And I now have Spirax. And not only that, Spirax is now in my font menu, and I can select it whenever I want. Now, one really, really neat thing about this is that if you use a new font in a Google Doc or in a Google Sheet or anywhere else in Google Drawings, for example, you don't have to make sure that the person on the other end, whoever you're sharing that with, has the font, because by default, they're everywhere on the web. That's because this Google Fonts project is run, not surprisingly, by Google, and they have made sure that all of these fonts are available anywhere on the web. They basically intended on making web pages look a lot more fonterific. So there you go. That is how you can add fonts in Google Docs.